Welcome to College Football Time with Avery Miguel. I am Miguel Mike Medina. This is my partner Avery Jones, and we're gonna continue this bowl season, and this weekend will be outstanding because we have Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and the much more exciting games will be coming through. So the first one we're gonna talk about is Kansas versus Arkansas. Avery, Arkansas will make this is their sixth appearance in the Liberty Bowl. They have a 2-3 record. Um, the Jayhawks, they're averaging 700 yards per play in the season. I feel that this will be a battle of running back position with Devin Neal and Raheem Sanders. So I personally have Arkansas winning by 4 points in this game. So I have them winning 30-26. What do you have to say?
Miguel, I think it's going to be probably a good game. Um, a lot of analysts are giving Arkansas the edge with 58%. Kansas only about 41%, probably leading it. But when you look at these teams, kind of had good starts, but all of a sudden they just kind of floundered a bit. Kansas had a really good start, but then that TCU game just kind of flatlined them and sent them in the free fall. But luckily, even with a 500 record, I think Kansas needs to be proud of themselves. On the other hand, Arkansas, they've had an up and down season. It's really tough. Major losses to Texas A&M, Alabama, LSU, even Missouri. It's just tough for them. But I think Arkansas is going to need to bring the best of what they have. They still need to show that they can still be a force in the SEC. Kansas, even with the strong start and the up and down finish, I think they proved, that they can be a team to look out for in the Big 12. So, when it comes to points, both teams average about 30 points a game. Even with passing, and total yards, they both use about 450 yards per game. But what it's going to come down to are these defenses. They give up way too much yards in games. They give up 450 yards total, but Arkansas's defense has the ability to stop the rush. But that's where Kansas kind of needs to push to get Arkansas to try and make these mistakes. But Sanders, he's from Rockledge, Florida, about 2 hours from my hometown. So, it's good to support our Florida athletes, but I'm going to give this to Kansas. I'm going to give Kansas a 35-32 over Arkansas. I think it's going to be close. Even though these teams haven't played since 1906, I think Kansas can bring this out, and I think Jalen Daniels is going to bring the best of himself.
Yeah, I agree. I feel that it's amazing to think that they haven't faced each other in the bowl season since 1906. So we're witnessing history here. And I do have a feeling that it'll be a close one. I hope it's a close one because we were dead wrong about the Cincinnati Louisville game. So, but yeah, this game could go either way, but hopefully it's a good one.
I agree, Miguel. I think both teams want to prove that the start of their seasons weren't a fluke. Even though they didn't finish as strong as they hoped, they want to show, the SEC and the Big 12 conferences that they can be a part of it, especially with the playoff extending in the next few years. So Kansas wants to show, especially in the Big 12, that they can be a force, and Arkansas, absolutely. They still want to show that if you want an SEC title, you got to go through Arkansas to do it.
Oregon versus North Carolina, the Holiday Bowl. Now, Avery, the Tar Heels, historically, they don't perform well in bowl games. In the last 20 seasons, they've gone 3-9. Um, Oregon has a high scoring offense. They can put up points. They can really torture Tar Heels defense in this game. Even though historically the Tar Heels are not good in bowl season, but this season they might have something to say about that. So, but I still have Oregon in this game winning 40-32. I'm not gonna call it a blowout. I'm gonna give North Carolina that much respect. I'm gonna say 40-32. Drake May, he's had a phenomenal season so far, throwing for over 4,000 passing yards. They're over 35 touchdown passes and committed less than 10 interceptions. So he's gonna have to bring his A game in order to have success for his team, just like he's done the whole season. But I have Oregon in this game.
Miguel, I kind of want to agree with you. North Carolina, mostly known for their basketball, great basketball program. But this year, don't let that 9-4 record fool you. North Carolina had a strong start. You know, they barely survived against Appalachian State. And any team that goes against Appalachian State, you know, usually, you know, need to do some soul searching because, you know, they nearly lost that game by about 2 points. They had a strong game against Notre Dame. And then they went on a 6-game winning streak, but, you know, they did have some tough losses to Georgia Tech. They lost to NC State in double overtime. And of course, the SEC championship game with Clemson, you know, wasn't close. But I think they're going to look to that Clemson loss as the jumping off point to say, hey, we can be this team in the ACC that no one may see coming, and then we can play spoiler, you know, kind of like South Carolina did this year. Oregon did not get off to the best start. I thought their opening season game against Georgia was going to be closer than it was, and Bo Nix and the Oregon Ducks just got manhandled by the Georgia Bulldogs. But after that, they showed that, okay, we can come back from a tough loss, especially on a national stage like that. But, you know, they had some really tough losses to Washington by 3. And then, of course, Oregon State, you know, recently. But I think Oregon, like the North Carolina Tar Heels, they want to prove that in their conference, they can be a team, just like I said, with Kansas and Arkansas, with the playoff expanding. These records are very good. These records could be playoff teams. And if you're in that playoff, when it expands to 12 teams, they could play spoiler. And just like in, you know, college basketball tournament, we love, you know, when a top seed can take down, a lower seed can take down a top seed. Bo Nix, 3,000-yard season. I think he's going to try and air the ball out. He really does good on his pass. Oregon, total yards over 500. North Carolina, just about 475. But it's probably going to come down to the defense. North Carolina, total yards, they just give up way too much. Oregon, slightly better when handling defenses, but it's going to be that rushing defense to stop North Carolina. But if North Carolina can get their rushing game started, that can be the tide that turned this game. I see Oregon getting out to a great start. I see North Carolina, you know, hanging in there. I don't want it to be a blowout, but I'm going to go against everything. You know, analysts have Oregon projected to 69 versus 31% versus North Carolina, but I'm going to go against everything. I'm going to go with North Carolina. I'm going to do it as a close game by 3, North Carolina 38, Oregon 35. I think both quarterbacks, Drake May and Bo Nix, are going to have fantastic games, and it's probably going to come down to a field goal, special teams, and some really good time management.